Welcome Wind Talk. I'm Darren Aquino. Wind Talk. I'm Darren Aquino. Johnny Pizza. And my co-host
Everybody
Johnny
knows Johnny
Pizza.
Everybody knows Joe the Cop.
Everybody knows Joe the Cop.
knows Madam Chief.
Everybody knows Madam Chief. Coming from Kentucky. Coming from Kentucky. She is the national chief, which in the state of Kentucky, which in the state of the only chief. She is the only civil rights of people with disabilities. Rights of people with disabilities. Organization's mission. Freedoms of people with disabilities. Freedoms of people who have been compromised and disenfranchised, which we have learned during the 2020 election, during the 2020 election, earlier, where there was the most focus, where we're going to talk to that because we have a special guest from New York, East Harlem, who was also a former candidate. The state of New York. The state of New York. Did they really open up? What are the challenges? He was a Republican candidate as well. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to you. So that everybody's clear. We do not take a personal position as a media platform. Everybody is welcome. Everybody is welcome, no matter what your party is. If you have something to say, if you have something you've been suppressed and you've been compromised, because we don't do that here. Because we don't do that. Talk is the people's platform, and I designed it, and I designed it for us. Focus for us is disabled veterans who have largely franchised around the country, served this country, and honorably since 9/11 since 9/11 survivor. Since that war on terror came to America. Young men and women began to fight, and the challenges terrorism brought to the United States and around the world. The character of men, young millennials, they went. They answered the call, and the biggest mistake that terrorists made was coming to New York City. Because the love for country by Americans like no other place in the world. And the sad thing is your odds in New York City had 68,000 homeless, 4,000 of them were veterans. And that challenge is unacceptable because giving no light, nor freedom, nor refuge, very many men and women who fought to keep us safe, and then when they've got shattered from the challenges of war, which our combat veteran, one of the worst wars in the country of America, that was senseless, that killed over 58,000 men. It's just mind-boggling to think those elected and running for a seat. The most important platforms are the liberties, life, liberty, and pursuit. These things, life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of these things of your freedom is one of the greatest things about America. And this play, we're here. We don't have to vet what I'm going to say. I'm not going to vet. There's none of that here. There's no scripts here. We tell it like it is. We just want the truth. We don't want anybody to be hostile to anybody else. But if you get heated in your expression, you're allowed to do that here, because we're in frustrating times. We're in uncharted waters when we've been compromised and freedom has been eaten by restriction of locally elected officials responsible to discharge the duty, when they say discharge their duty, is what they're not saying. Their duty is to discharge the rights of the people within the state or community where that elected official is. His duty to be discharged is to hold the protection. That's what their duty is. It's not to make their choices, but to comply with the law. Nobody is above the law. So we're Joe the cop, call him Joe the cop. Like Joe back in the day when I used to watch Three Stooges, and they had a host. Officer Joe Bolton. So we got Joe, and then we got Johnny Pizza and Shannon. So today, we're going to talk about. I'm going to let Oz give some update on what's going on in New York. As you see, there's no perfect. He's on the road. He's got appointments. He's here live to tune in to tell you what's going on, and who he is, and what he's about, and
looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
I had a great conversation with him. I don't know if I got anything left.
I haven't heard any of it yet.
Well, okay. Well, sorry you missed it. Sorry you missed it. Okay. On next week. Bye,
everybody.
So, met the crew. It's up to you. So tell us a little about yourself. And they're eager to learn what I know.
Sure. I'm Sultan and the chair. We basically rebuilt the club from about 2015 on, and I'm a state delegate for the party. A lot of what we're looking to do locally is focusing kind of on federal and state dollars that should be coming into our community, as well as like what we can do for the betterment of our community. It's been challenging through COVID. There's a need to bring kind of like the state level resources to folks so that they can kind of figure these things out. And at the same time, there's all of these new opportunities from a job front that we can bring into the community as well. And so I'll just give you one example. Working with, our friend Lieutenant Flores, we've been able to put together a job program, which I'm in the process of relaunching our website, which will be up probably the beginning of next month. But we're pushing out a job program where anyone who had up to a felony, okay, can come and basically get either training or get into a job almost immediately that allows and affords them a career path, right? And that's one of the biggest problems. Like when I ran for state senate last year, one of the biggest problems that I ran into when I was talking to all sorts of constituents. Like constituents, I think people just don't think about, because you have folks joining gangs because gangs afford them some sort of protection and family. You have folks that are getting into this vicious cycle of small petty crimes because they had one felony on their record and they can't find a job. And so you have the opportunity to start breaking those vicious cycles if you can kind of get in there with any kind of job force education that kind of fits the way they learn. In the way that they sort of vibe these days. And that's kind of what we're focused on, what we're trying to do. Bring some of these resources virtually. We've done food drives and food drops and those types of things over the past year. And we're looking to partner with a couple of charities to kind of increase that going next year, because it's been just a little challenging to get any kind of operations outside of COVID. And then also you have just a tremendous amount of restrictions, and police shutting down because the administration changed their mind on policies. It becomes a little complicated right now. It becomes a little complicated. And that's where the focus is. How can we go into next year in a manner of fashion, a little bit of charitable giving food front, because that's really some of the baseline stuff the community. And if we can touch on that, the job front, and we can kind of engage. We see that there's an opportunity to start building some political momentum, because most of our electeds right now aren't doing the job they should be doing. There's federal dollars that were allocated. There were state dollars. All these program dollars that are out there. But none of that's making it down to the public. I mean, one of the ideas that I had thought about was, what if we put like these little small storefront areas that are about 500 square feet, throw something up, maybe about every 30 blocks, where you've got access to a number of government services, some of like an ombudsman, because for most of what people are looking for in terms of training, and all that stuff that's out there. It's caught in this labyrinthical maze inside of state websites right now. And there's a need to help people do that.
There's a giant need.
Yeah, if we're going to really help our communities, we have to help from these perspectives. And these are I think it's kind of the ethos of what we've been as Republicans. We get dinged for a lot of other issues. That I just think we're not pushing that inside of the state, but our pushing is that local perspective that we've got to fix things for our communities, and we have to make sure that if our demographic has we have a problem inside of Harlem with people getting caught into crime, getting caught in felonies. Recidivism is about 70%, and I think a lot of that is because limited opportunities. And if we can fix that. That changes everything.
I think as an advocate for disabled 37 years, you could see these things. You could see these things behind me. That was the recognition of those folks that we got elected, who was supporting the dreams and missions of the organization for people with disabilities, who were disenfranchised. Pretty much going back to the 64 civil rights, where we only got a rehabilitation until 1990. 7 years of lobbying by me and others for multiple disabilities and the disenfranchisement as a group. Which now that you see, all of these everybody coming out, I don't really care if you're Republican or Democrat. The thing that matters is connecting with the people, to restore local neighborhoods. I grew up in the area he comes from. My great grandparents came from Italy, and it's the mom and pop that built this nation mighty and strong. It was the little man. Who made the country. Took advantage of the freedoms and the faith and the faith that they can be anything they want held back. As they weren't held back. What we had back then, we had some more opportunities, and people who were dedicated. And the country, United States, 56 men built what you have today. 56 put this together. What we did was corrupt people in because I don't want to trash the party. I want the person responsible for going sideways. That's one of the things that I fight for as a civil rights advocate. Like Martin Luther King. You have to look at the whole group who was being disenfranchised because you don't like what we look like, and that's created a divide in this country, and it was mostly recognized in 2020 election. And then they're both parties to maintain their control by those Democrats and those rhinos. Which hurts the growth of this country and establishes a greater divide. The thing that makes us great is how we unite in time of trouble. And now one of the things like we're just two kids out of the neighborhood that want to see things go right. Johnny was that way. 19 years old. 19. You don't know about Johnny Pizza. He went to battle with his cousin. They grew up in the same house. They had like commune living. Come here and save money until they could work hard. They'd grow the family. Johnny with his cousin, grow up like brothers. Johnny's cousin, you got to go there. You got to go to Alaska-by-book.com, and you got to see this book. John will sign a book. It's an incredible story that we're working on. The miniseries. We'll talk about that later on the show. But there she goes. There she goes. Good job. This book. Now these were 19-year-old boys. He was blown up. John, which we're going to push for this congressional medal. I believe he deserves it. He's 73 now. He's 73 now. Yeah. 73 at 19 years old to pull three men out of fire. Bullets coming at him. All of the descriptions of earns this congressional medal. He earned it by his actions. Went in, pulled two, and on the third guy, he was hit. by the same ones that had him pinned down. If that's not a description, okay, the sacrifice of his cousin blown up, and him trying to prevent his other, these were teenagers, literally teenagers. And doing a man's job, and these folks suffered the worst of any of the military service that went part of any war. Not like this. These fellas. I've been advanced, and I go to them as much as I can when I'm feeling up to it. Because every member of the organization is disabled. It's the way it is. And when I see them, they cry how they were spit on. It just upsets me. I get emotional from a family of seven generations. Shannon's husband is a veteran. Joe's a veteran of the local militia, the police force, NYPD. John is one of our young war heroes that was preserving that saved three other kids of somebody else's kids while he was there. Fighting a fight that we didn't belong to. We all know. We know it. They deserved our respect. It took them 20 years. I was at that parade. It took them 20 years. Okay. John should have another veteran we're fighting for. Wait till you meet Chris LaMarche on another show. What they're doing to this veteran. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare run by a FedEx truck trailer. And now his military folks are trying to hold him AWOL because he didn't jump or skip to the commands of the captain who's now a major who I told him off in a text, threatening the guy's wife to call the Senator Langford in Oklahoma, and his place from him leaving Jersey, go to Virginia, which ultimately he should have been severed in 2016. This is where our country and our elected are doing their job. Don't come out to me. You were honorable. You came out for the state position. I came out for Congress, knowing what my platform is about and my mission. It includes everybody, of course. But I wanted to make people aware of how many disabled there are, and why is the systemic problem of illness? Who was responsible for that contract? We know. Andrew Cuomo cut the mental illness in New York, which brings next to this next point. Why Mia Sotomayor, a female woman cop, single mother of three, taking care of her mother of cancer at the time of her death 4 years ago. Not one courteously disappoints me. Not Eric Adams, former NYPD captain, showed up yesterday on July 5th for our service. But we were there. I will always be there as family members and folks with integrity like yourself, come and serving. Not one of them, not the mayor. He was down on the schedule, did not show up. I cannot support, and I withdrew my nomination courtesy. He doesn't deserve it. Because if you're not going to take care of protective body entities that we need to strengthen and help unite. Because the police do play an important role. The auxiliaries. Had I become the mayor, I would have organized this. There would have had police advocates. That Eric Gardner situation wouldn't have happened. Okay. We don't have reckless police. We do have one of the greatest forces in the world. But we have bad apples. We have to throw them out. You do every other piece of bruise, or cut out the bruise, and we eat the rest of the apple because it's still good. You know, we can strengthen. Cops have no place in dealing with physically disabled. That's not their. They're out there criminals. You know, and to maintain the peace. There's no peace when a cop gets arrogant or he uses overuses his badge. You know, better training is more important. We give more funding. Better police with disabilities of mental illness. Better restraints, better approaches where we could stabilize. With an advocate, and the call comes over the radio. I told the mayor we can solve this. None of these folks. This woman was killed by a mentally ill man who was released. The governor cut the benefits. Me and guys that say we have you come from a rural area. Most in the city. Okay, then there's Brooklyn. Okay, there's Paul. Then there's Brooklyn. These are two. And ground social children with autism. A young Hispanic or young black gang banger pushing elderly person. So I was one of the female chief, woman, I forget her name. And I was given some ideas. The mayor desperate for some thoughts, borrowed some. When you borrow somebody else's thought, it gets man, and it's not effective. It's not the original design. You know. So there are some that we can still do in New York and around the country. Because what I've learned is when this group franchise, which disabled children are born every single day. We got veterans with PTSD dying every single day. Yeah, police officers killing themselves. Police officer Rio, 2 years back before I got here, killed himself. The family doesn't get it. That is wrong. I had a solution for that. The mayor did not care. I talked to Jimmy O'Neill. I was at the funeral. Because PTSD is an illness. The police department has to change these things. But the elected do it because the city is self-insured. So this is why I was excited with you, because you're like me. You're like we're the people's people. And Joe, a retired cop. Shannon, the wife of a veteran and a mom, dedicated to the civil rights. She's a real constitutionalist, and everybody knows it when she walks in the room because she makes it very clear that she is defending her rights, and that's something that we're not supposed to have to say. The people and the authorities that we elect, we're the electors. We're the ones who say. Okay, not the college. We the people. The count was not right in the 2020 because of the group we're talking about, the disenfranchised, disabled. The numbers coming from Social Security are not, they dropped significantly because of that thing that happens at age 60. Reasonable, and you have autistic children. Now, when you want to break it down to the voter, that's a whole other system to find that out. This is the number of people that Social Security give me. We have to check state by state who is receiving Social Security. It doesn't violate their HIPAA. It just checks are going out. And you can call your New York local office. You can call every local office and say, look, I want to know the number because it's public information with limits because it's disability or SSI, which you get if you're disabled. The difference of the two is one, you qualified with quarters, which establish you to have a accrued record, which they pay you off of. The other one is federal welfare, that if you were a young guy, but you didn't meet the quarters, but you have enough quarters when you retire, then it turns to retirement, and you get, you're probably below in the world. Like New York City. The greatest president came out of New York City. Okay. And Theodore, frankly, they came out of New York. We've had two presidents from New York City and Long Island. So to restore the confidence, we have to fix the integrity of vote. We have to get in and sit at that table and tell them what they're going to do. This is no longer any citizen in the United States has a stand. Our healthcare is bad because doctors with the interference of PPOs and negotiating prices helps encourage Medicare, Medicaid fraud. And it encouraged it up in the Bronx. Riverdale Nurse Home. My uncle, we had them saying he was being treated as part of the lawsuit for disabled. The main thing for disabled and for you, us in New York, is right here. You see technical support here. There's no access on any government platform. None, because it tells you to do it their way. Understanding the limitations of a blind man. If they don't have a computer. How do we access them? There are other ways to do it, plans to do it, and that's what we're going to do when we sit together to raise these money, because Shannon will also help with that. Getting these money that we're entitled, the federal government gives. Where's the solution? I have the solution. We don't have the finance. The finance that apply to finance, because we could change this platform across the board in all 50 states. Because it's constitutional, and that puts us in a better position to remove that disenfranchisement of people with disability that have an absolute right to vote. Who in the 2020 election, more than 40 million Americans didn't get to vote. Because you're in a hospital doesn't mean you don't have that right. Title II is a duty of every commissioner, governor to enforce the mandate. They did not. And that's where we got to hold them accountable. Even the governor in New York, not only did he murder people in nursing home by violating their premise, because a nursing home, when you're elderly, it would be fair to say that that's your final residence. So the property under the Constitution, your life, liberty, and property. That space was invaded by the governor's executive order to invade my home and cause imminent harm that resulted in death. To a person, here's the key. Had no due process to challenge their life being threatened. That ultimately they died. Where was their right to challenge his order? To keep them safe, because we didn't say they were vulnerable. The CDC and the United States warned every governor who became vulnerable. That's how I caught it as a 9/11 survivor, COPD from that stuff. So you see, these are the changes that need to take place. And there's no better place. I initiated this case, and it's meeting with its challenges because even the court doesn't like to accommodate pro se disabled litigants. I won in 1999, and they were supposed to have ADA advocates in every courthouse. It took them 8 years to put one in Flushing. In Jamaica, where they ripped down the old family court, and now there's an ADA that has no training. They're supposed to have it in all the state. That was the negotiation. And they didn't comply. So the fact that they didn't comply, and a courthouse is a courthouse under unified court system. No federal state court, no tribunals are exempt, because the people have a sovereign right. So this is where we can partner up, and we could show the true character of the Republican Party, and we hope that our friends, who I'd like to say patriots. We're the patriotic. We're the patrioted by Lincoln, and the Democrats. Show your patriotism. Show your true love for the country. We welcome you. We welcome out and join and solve the problem. That's what America is about. America is about why we became so great from our unity. It's more important than being divided. Segregation doesn't work. Unity makes countries, it builds character. It built the United States of America. And imagine 56 men, of all the ideas, they created a country. They created of free Americans. And we have to stick to that and keep that going. That momentum can't stop. They hated the president, killed the vulnerable citizens to blame it on him. But they didn't use the resources he sent. I personally sent Andrew, because I know him personally. We were friends until this controversy, where he started killing people to where it became political and not responsible. It was irresponsible to do that, because grandparents died. And that's not a United City. That's elected officials taking arrogant authority and being derelict with duties they were charged with. when they were elected. And we can never, ever sit back and accept that. Not ever. Because today it's my mother, tomorrow it's yours. And my mother died from bad health care. Obama didn't care. Like I said, you want to solve the problem with health care. It's real simple. We don't need outside help. What we need is to open the platform of Medicare and Medicaid to the general public, and we own it. Like any stock that we buy, because it's healthcare. We have to invest in ourselves. And one of the plans I presented to Bush, and he liked it, but it seems politics is getting out of control. It's not following the voice of the people and the will of the people. It's following the will of some elected's pocket needs. And we could never, we have to get away from that. So the good thing we can do is we can clean up the party. Instead of blaming, we got to stand up as characters of the Republican Party and start cleaning our own house. If you want to be biblical and faithful, the Bible talks about cleaning your house first before you start on anybody else. You want to do it right. You want to do it right. Start by your own. It's like when you're casting blame. Take that big spike out of your own eye. You start sticking one on somebody else. The principles are there. Now having the courage to stand up to the true character who we are. Sometimes the surrounding make you fearful. Like business owners on autism. My wife is a director. This morning, of the services. Business owners are afraid because the state interferes, and it makes it's really monitoring and governing over them. When it's just delaying and to show what they're not doing. Impose fines and things like that aren't justified on some of these service providers that are providing essential services to children with autism. Give them quality of life. There's different forms of it. There's Asperger's, which is less restrictive of a disability. They're highly functional words. There's so many key words that we're using to it. But the thing is, it's of mental effect. So we must invest more. But there's no voice. We've allowed. That's why they always suppress the disabled on every government level. Because now that those numbers are there, I told Bush. He knew at some of his speeches. He would quote what I quote. I was there. I heard at the dinner. But you see, I'm tired of hearing him quote. Now it's time to step up again. The relationship I hope to form with Oz. Not only to straighten the party across the board. We sit at that table. And we tell them what we need and what they must provide. Ensure. What is that? Is that you, Joe?
No, but it's probably copy in the background. We had alarms to go off earlier.
It's Oz. We lost Oz.
Just stop it in a minute.
It's not Oz background.
He'll be gone.
It's your background, Joe. We got you. It's Joe.
Oh,
It's Oz. Bring it back.
we had alarm problems back here.
How do we get on? Okay. Camera. There you go. There we go. Yeah. So as we attempt this table, Shannon and I are going to have another conversation. So we'll surround these things, and then we'll come up, or I'll come up to New York, and John meet us. And the mission of this national nonprofit is to stop disenfranchisement of disabled citizens that have a sovereign right to vote. And the turnout of this election and other elections should have not been officiated, because they excluded a large portion of the population, especially in New York. How many people did not just think about it? We know 50,000 died. We know they didn't get to vote. And then early adopters got discouraged unless they're platformed to maintain independence. And changing software that I talked about. It's on so many of my social media tags. I mean, I got the design protection just by being the first guy to mention it. But to me, as an advocate, so many people just plagiarize my thoughts. To me, as long as the job gets done, it doesn't matter who steals it. It matters who has the courage to initiate it. I have the courage to initiate, and if somebody's got a few more bucks than I do, and we can get the job done, then in essence, I've actually done my job as an advocate. I'm not always offended if somebody steals my thought, like Curtis says he has this idea for sanctions for the dogs. If you look at my 2016 campaign, we had my plan was, because I'm a dog lover and certified service companion, the need for service companions, we had no kill shelters. So obviously he was looking on my old web pages where I have a song playing and I show the dogs doing different things, that we're going to save the animal. We're not going to kill them in New York like they were doing. And there's a lot of dog lovers, and there's still a lot of restrictions. And there are so many things. I look forward to sitting down with you, Oz, and maybe we can encourage you to come out again and be another leader. New York needs leaders.
Well, I think you know what I think it is.
Yes.
All of this comes down to a need to write the policy and make sure that the policy gets into a couple of think tanks that are advising, the national party. And that's how we shift the first level around that. But the remainder of this really comes down to, getting the engagement. And in many cases, I think what we can do is we can push, this kind of almost a bad pun, but like ballot recalls, where you can put ballot initiatives out there, and we could basically have people, vote in it, that the mail ballots are violating, the ADA requirements, access. And then
We should initiate a lawsuit from New York. I mean, I put one out here, and I named the governor. Why my uncle was in a nursing home. He had no rights to vote. That's advised the governor took no action. But here's the problem. The problem also too is while you're in that nursing home, depending upon rehabilitation, we have laws that give proxy to a person, which means if you had a severely disabled family member and you're the parent, you get to twice. It's the law. You get to vote for that person. That's good. But what about the folks who can't get to that phone? There's no access. There's multiple ways of no access from a hospital and nursing home that we have to modify. This mandate came from DOJ to the Board of Election. The problem with it is there's non-compliance. They don't even explore it. During this election, Kentucky. I think it was Kentucky. Yeah, it was Kentucky. They settled the lawsuit, not to bring it out. They settled the disenfranchisement of disabled voters, but it didn't recall the ballot. Now that state was vital also too to the president. But listen, this affects everybody. Republican, independent. I have a right to vote with disability, and you. Now here's the other part of getting them registered. A registration also requires an accommodation. They didn't do that either. They didn't provide an accommodation to the people in the nursing home. So they're going to try and get away from this lawsuit, saying an absentee ballot. An absentee ballot is not in the. They're going to be. I know what they're going to say, but it's not. It's not. It provides no independence. It says.
Well, it's not independent. It provides no redress, and it doesn't solve this huge problem.
It provides an opportunity to commit fraud by somebody else saying to the blind person, "Oh yeah, you just voted for that guy." If it's the homemade that's in the house, a Democrat in a Republican's house. Well, this is reality. It's the nature that we have to get away from to preserve the integrity of the voting practices by putting in the insurance for the disabled because their numbers matter. It has a national effect. So if we put that in there where it's braille, then the blind person is secure. And the person that's mentally affected, the family member gets two votes. That's good. That's secure. But the person who didn't get to register because there's no access from the hospital bed is what we have to change. And the party and New York having so many Republicans that they would get on page and get into the hospital and have the hospital and nursing home drive by getting a court order to see the people, not violate their rights, but to present them with opportunity and the party being smart. Say, look, we'll fill out the papers for you and with you. We will help you here. Okay, we make sure that the facility now today COVID are safe. And then if you wear outfit, wear the outfit. This is listen. If you want to strengthen something, you gotta man up. If our men, here's a good example. Johnny Pizza went to war at 18. His cousin didn't come back. He did, but he has a memory for all time. He's wearing that purple heart because he took a bullet for this country and the freedoms that we embrace. Don't we owe our men and women in hospitals who serve this country the opportunity to offer them a hand up and not a handout, to step up to the plate and go to that VA hospital and go through. Not only should we, it's the only candidate that was in, and there's photographs of me at the bedside, learning all the stories for our veterans of the Bronx VA. And around, I do it all the time. I don't do it just campaign. I do it in the summer. I go in, hi, thank you. Because I come from family. Why do you think my co-host is a veteran? Because we are addressing the disenfranchisement of disabled veterans and disabled families around this country. So Oz, we want to be part of and help us solve this problem. Because many hands make light work. And that's what we can do. Yes, John. We can do. Yes, John. Sorry, I took up most of the talk. I'm just so anxious to tell Oz about this. Go ahead.
Maybe far-fetched. But is there a way to implement voice recognition for disabled to vote?
Yes, there is.
So that might be another route to take.
There is. Yeah, but they have to.
I think there's probably 5 to 10 different routes that we can add to this. In terms of workflows that could be added to facilitate veterans better access from a reader type machine to braille ballots to a variety of other things that might be needed to actually their capacity to vote. And I think what can be done is you leverage the data. So if we were to pull the voter tabulate, like just basically what are your voter tables for a couple of counties, and cross-reference with what we have in terms of database that we know have some degree of disability, and what you have is you have a baseline to start with of reach out to, and then you just kind of start building from there off that list and a variety of other things. But you start getting up to this population. There's call to action to get them engaged inside of what can be done. The perspectives and whether we want to push like a recall initiative, or whether we want the call to action for them to get involved inside of a political campaign or a party of that nature. But it could be major drivers that get people that get engaged. But the bigger issues that we're going to have to put that issue back on the table. And the only way that that's going to happen is if we basically have the conversations with a couple of these think tanks and get the policy out there. Because without the policy, nothing's going to happen. That means no laws are going to change. But if that policy is out there, we can use that as a jumping point to deal with some of these hazardous laws, like the mail-in ballots, signature verification, and implement things that facilitate their capability, which at the end of the day, has the ability to sway elections with the numbers that we're talking about.
May I ask a question?
Because we should have learned last year about protocol stuff like that. Everything we're talking about opens up the door for possible bullet fraud. They're going to be in the next special announcements they got the bullet fraud. They got the bullet fraud. They got the bullet and they got the bullet. And we need to prevent that from happening again. All you have to do is look what happened past 2 weeks in the mayor's race. In the main Democratic side, with everything that we're doing, and trying to help the people with disability, and especially nursing, we know history over history, year after year, a lot of fraud coming out of nursing homes, by people coming in, Democrats are famous for this. Down here, where they go into nursing homes, and even though the person who's in nursing wants to vote a Republican, they automatically vote Democrat. That's what happened with the supervisor election a couple of years back, and we caught them. And now they're looking at jail. We need to find a way to disable in the people homes to able to vote without getting disenfranchised.
Let me interject for a second, Chief Advocate, who's been fighting this for decades. We've got moderate changes. Not enough, because it's not going to be enough until party leaders step up to the plate, listen to what the advocates are saying. And here it is in a nutshell. It is non-compliant and address the voice activation. Voice activation should only be in the privacy of computer software that it would identify the individual, because then everybody talking into it and voting 2 and 3 and 4 times. So it has to go with an ID. We'll recognize the voice after the training, and it has to be done separately with software. It can be done. I thought about the ways. Hold on, let me finish. I explored the ways of how it can be done. Living with these challenges. But the thing's more important is securing the right. As I complained out here, the right to be registered while you're in the nursing home, because there are they're not registered. But they didn't also present an opportunity. There's a beginning to the problem, and there's a middle of the problem, and we could put an end to the problem. You see, so it's at the beginning and in the middle where the two problems lie. Doing what I've been doing for decades, knows where it is, and then you get the parties coming in. You're either suppressing them, or you're not including them. You see, so that's why you have two discriminations that are very problematic and systemic. Denial of inclusion from going to the facility, and when at the facility, they limit the freedom of the expression to the Democratic Party in certain states. Doing it in a disability platform, what I would do is someplace, and I thought to you, how to put in a modification was platform, how to secure the vote, a social security verification method with the ID and fingerprint. That's going to eliminate right at the bedside. The come in, the board of it will come in with a Republican, because there has to be a commissioner on each side. Will come in, the vote, and it would be activated, because the person would come in, a representative from the BOE would get the voice recognition, or would go through, and then they would come to the hospital bed. A representative from BOE will go around with a van. They would go with a number of volunteers. because then we would make that a civic duty, just like voting is. And then people would come out and the party carry it. You don't because they want that. So you don't have to worry how to accomplish it because both parties will say, we need you to volunteer to go to the hospital. I change.
What's going to happen with that is a couple states have ruled against ballot harvesting. So what we're
talking about not harvesting.
But it could change as
Accommodating the voter on that day. It's not ballot harvesting. It's accommodating on the day of. The party would get volunteers to help the BOE come in with the computer.
We have to have BOE allocate funds to have additional staff to assist with.
That's. But they would complain if there wasn't a Republican and a Democrat, because that would be the next argument. Like you have a commission. So if they go out without commission or Republican and Democrat, and they go to make the accommodation at nursing homes, just putting the device there, just to make sure that person has that right after they've been expeditiously registered because they could have been there for 2 or 3 years and been inactive by their disability. So that's the other thing that has to be addressed. You see, and that's the thing. Oz, me, you're going to hash out because I know it all. And Shannon will help us. And that's how we're going to say, here's where we need these funds allocated. And then we'll initiate a plan that will secure those freedoms again. And we can do it nationally. And that's where it's beneficial, where our voice will be heard national. And that's what's going to be positive. That's what's going to change the dynamic of voting for people with disability. I'm sorry, Chief. Madam Chief. Go ahead. Your hand is up.
I have a somewhat complex question for Oz, and if I could get it all the way out, then
you have the floor. Madam Chief.
All right. So while we're talking about this, Oz, you had talked about think tanks. I think that this particular issue is very deserving of think tanks, not quite done yet. And involving all of these aspects of making policies, how to all the different kinds of needs that need to be addressed, the kinds of disabilities that we have, the populations, is someone to record it all and to come back again and again to develop the ideas. But one that keeps coming up in my mind is why with you have a background in blockchain technology, right? Why are we not using blockchain technology to do online voting? This is something that
ostensibly it was tested in the last election. The challenge that you have with implementing blockchain voting is basically the same way HR 1 was defeated. Is that each state has the right to dictate how it wants to manage the voting apparatus. Now, there's an opportunity for
one thing there. Not with the ADA. I just want to add one thing because he said that the states have not where the ADA is concerned. Because if it does it its way, it has proven that it disenfranchises disabled. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. So the basic gist of it is it's going to take time to bring blockchain solutions in because you have what we're looking at right now is there's congressmen that are basically being paid by banks to lobby against blockchain and cryptocurrency solutions because they're getting intertwined with each other because of cryptocurrencies. And so, we've got it's this kind of a strange landscape in terms of how that can happen. I mean, I know there's going to be federal blockchains that are coming. They'll have side chains that connect to other blockchains that'll be out there, and it'll be an interesting environment. But to get to the voting on blockchain, I think we're probably several years away from that, and a lot of that is largely due to the fact that I've worked with the Board of Elections just running for office, and I mean, you're dealing with a tremendous amount of bureaucracy, and it gets even more complicated. I think when you start bringing things into play where on the one side you're facilitating a lot of new people being able to vote, but on the opposite side, you're trying to push these initiatives. It just becomes challenging. And so that's where I think, probably 8 years will be kind of prime time ready to get blockchain voting in place. And that could be fantastic because you could have people validate, through an authenticator app on their phone and vote remotely, through an app. I mean, there's a million ways to deploy that. That would be so much easier, faster, more succinct, and deliver the service provision, to everybody. And I think we'll move in that direction. But I do think that it's going to take. It's going to take a couple of years for people to get there. And also some of the solutions have to mature a little bit in order for them to be considered by government.
And before you're done, I want you to continue, but also could you, when you're done, continue that thought, explain those who don't know what blockchain technology is, how it could be a possibility. It's probably inevitable. It's just a matter of time. But
one of the things in between there is this election was impacted for the last decade or so, denying disabled. We need something more than 4 to 8 years. We need ready action, readily achievable.
No. We can work on something that is readily available. Blockchain. So the whole point of blockchain voting is that the blockchain technology, in essence, is a one-way lock. It's an immutable ledger. Okay, so if a transaction happens, it's locked to the ledger, and that transaction can't be modified in any way, shape, or form. And that's secure. That's secure. And so the thought process is we can bring blockchain voting in, and someone makes a vote. We have your vote. It's locked. You verified your ID. You did.
It's all done online. It can all be done online. Everybody's already online. Not everybody.
That would be one accommodation if it was software ready for disabled. That would solve problems.
Now it does sound like there's people talking in the background. So it's kind of hard to hear.
Audio and visual needs some clarity here. There he is.
I'm sorry.
I apologize. We had because we scheduled this and then run the kid over to.
Oh, okay.
But I might have to step out a minute. But I think one we have the opportunity to bring blockchain to bear. But I think bureaucracy is going to take several years. And then two, I think that if we did bring that to bear, that it would solve a lot of things for people with disabilities. So it is something we can write into policy. But the only way that we're really going to change this is if we get written to the policy of a couple big think tanks. And that gets advocated, and that becomes part of conservative policy, and then we start pushing change.
Yeah. I think that's as we spoke early this morning. Just sit down and Shannon bullet some of these points for you on and then we could bring that or a seat at that table because that change the future of the 2024 presidential And it will also change if we start this right away. We got 2022 coming in that listen. I'm important now. This is
2022
not
could be really interesting in terms of midterms.
right.
And there just being a big upset because people are fed up. Just fed up.
Yeah, we are.
Well, that's
And
why.
I apologize, but I have to take leave of you guys.
Okay.
This has been phenomenal. Let's follow up.
Absolutely.
Probably later tomorrow.
I took a lot of notes, Oz, about topics that you touched on that would I'd like to come back and revisit those.
Well, we're gonna have private, Shannon. We're gonna be working with the organization for this to execute thoughts.
And I apologize.
that.
I have to run.
Okay, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for joining us.
It was good talking to you, ladies and gentlemen. We had Oz with us, and he was here to share his thoughts on New York politics, the state of the rights of people from the urban area of East Harlem. And we're happy. And you'll see him again.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us. We have a few more minutes with the guys. And we'll talk
Bye.
Okay, so now it's back to us. Yeah, we're gonna follow that up with him. That's the introduction of what our discussion was about, and him wanting to help bring it because he was a candidate like me for state senate there, and he lost. He maintained 7% because that had a lot to do with. And I told him this is why, and when I told him of what I've been doing for years and the changes are, New York is adamant in its avoiding responsibility. Whenever I came out and said this, they want to push me for public advocate and resign from mayor. But that would look corrupt if I did anything, if I took a promise position. And I didn't do that. I won't do that because that changes everything I stand for. And I won't do that. But in our mission to change voting practices, because the population of growing, look at seniors today became debilitated from COVID in other ways. It affected their respiratory, that there were lingering effects that made them debilitated. It took some pretty reasonably healthy seniors and made them debilitated and now qualified them as citizens with disabilities. So we're going forward. I mean, I've laid outlined, and I didn't care if it was plagiarized, fight them later, because like I said, getting the job done, even if it's plagiarized, the fact that it was plagiarized shows who designed it. It's like with Edison. Edison wasn't the first guy that created it. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't the first guy. Who was the Italian guy, right? Who was the Italian guy? Right? They make a big deal, right? Not Vespucci, some other guy. I forget his name. But they make a big joke about it in the Bronx Tale, right? So, I mean, getting the job done is what matters. It changes to all the dynamics of voting. They denied and disenfranchised disabled from the hospital bed to the nursing home to the private home, and eliminated a method of accommodation to have access to register.
Yeah,
So
how do you stop these Democrats from not letting this go through? All these changes.
But hold on. You see, it's not just, it's Republicans too.
Yeah, whatever.
They fought me hard. They fought me hard on not doing it. They tried to throw me off the ballot because they negotiated another seat.
Oz is talking about making these changes.
Yes.
It's got to go through legislation, right?
Right.
So how do you stop these? They're dominating everything. Everything that somebody tries to do, they cut right down. How's he going to get it all through?
Because the Constitution talks about alternative measures to take.
These people don't even believe in the Constitution, Darren.
Well, I know, but that's our argument. I mean, that's why we have this platform, because we got the.
John is right. John, I'd love to hear more on that. That's exactly what we want to hear. We want to hear those words, someone just say that what is like, okay, yes, the Republican Party is also to blame. I'm a registered independent, okay? I lean conservative, but even I can see that it's worse on the Democrat side. Come on, can't we admit that? Just
I can give you, see, up until recently, every Democrat was against voter ID. Now that the American people overwhelmingly support voter ID, now they're coming out the last week or so, for voter ID. It's what's on demand, what's out there, what's in the polls. That's how they work it.
When they uncover the
Darren
states,
and I
they flip
both,
them.
Darren and I both ran for office somewhere around sheriff for me and Congress years ago. And it's all about polling. It's all about what's in the wind's blowing, which direction the
but
wind's
they
blowing.
can manipulate the polls too, Joe.
They made phony polls here. John saw it.
Yeah.
50 people. They made it look like the district. But
Yeah.
that was orchestrated by, right? That was orchestrated by Rhino Republicans. So,
Right.
because this is a red state. So you got criminals within the party so that they could leverage their candidate who's not for you. So when something doesn't get done, the guy that was toting his flag for you was a liar.
Right.
And unfortunately, they're sitting on both sides because they're looking at the bigger picture. I came out, look, when I came out, people looked at what I'd done. They did what they were supposed to, investigate their candidate. When I came out and I took no polls. Listen, I was running on a small budget, but once the numbers started, 3 weeks in the race, Darren's at 18%. Whoa! I was getting interviewed by everybody. Nobody look at the Ballotpedia. It says it. I didn't do it. We had them going. They liked me because I was honest. They called me authentic. They called me everything but politician. And that's what's important.
That's the key. And that's why Trump is so popular, because they don't call him a politician.
But because we're those, they called me the mini Donald Trump. Me and John were laughing. They had the article. They called me the mini Donald Trump. But that is where we learned that we have more enemies than we could imagine.
I will not be comfortable about anything as long as you got Pelosi and Schumer and all the other clan in there.
Oh yeah, Jerry Nadler, Shifty.
How did they get away? Wait a minute. How did they get away? When these observers came into Atlanta, I think it was, with a court order, okay, to let these observers in the room, and there's one guy in the door saying, no, you're not coming in. How the hell will they get away with that?
If I
Right.
that's
Right.
They should put them in jail.
Because they own the cities, John.
Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, all three are doing the forensic audits.
They're doing the forensic audits, yes,
in the next few days.
I tell you, if they flip those states, Joe Biden's got to leave.
They already got warrants out for the arrest of Stacey Abrams in Fulton County. They got her dead to rights.
I've been hearing this for 5 years.
No, they have it now.
Pennsylvania, they
got warrants issued.
If the vote was not correct, they find it. The president has
I want to hear John.
Listen to me. I never watched a news program in my entire life, very seldom, okay? Never bought a newspaper. But since Trump came in, I watched Fox News 24/7. When I tell you 24, I didn't watch no other shows for 5 years. And all I heard was, "Oh, this guy's getting indicted. We got all kinds of proof from this guy. This guy's going to come down. This guy's going to go."
Right.
Nothing happened.
Nothing. That's always what happens.
That
happens all the time.
Don't listen to the media of any kind.
Homie, this guy Christopher Wray, they're all and they're still holding office, pulling the strings.
That's right.
So we
No
can't
one
get
goes to
nothing done
jail.
until they're in there. I'm sorry, we don't got 4 years. I'm
That's
telling
I
you.
know it.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. On the town, we don't have 8 years to wait to get disabled to vote. There's too many disabled. That affects the outcome of the race. In every state in the union, you got millions of disabled who are disenfranchised.
Another thing, I wish I could see Mike Pence, okay? He had an opportunity. He had an
He
opportunity,
violated, so-
Yes,
when
I
he
was
saw
so.
that pedicure Pelosi rip that paper up. He should have grabbed that paper right out of her hands and said, "What the hell are you doing?" I wish
I
that
would
was
have
good
bitch
on.
slapped her.
I swear
I
to
would
God,
have
I wish
bitch
that was
slapped
on.
her.
That would
No,
have
they're
never
good friends. They're good friends.
happened.
I
They're
want a
good
cake.
friends. They're all good friends. Even like at the
He
local
had an
level in the
opportunity
courts.
right there to put the
Oh,
Democrats
yeah.
in their place, right there. Okay, if you would have showed up,
Yep.
Nancy, he's the vice president of the United States.
Won't
He's
stand
above her.
up to them.
Yes,
I
he
just
is.
They
get
won't
so
stand
mad
up
when I
to
see.
them.
Actually, he's not above her. They're separate. The Congress is separate according to the Constitution, the way it works.
Isn't she third in line?
I'm gonna
She's third
say,
in line. She's third in
I'm
line.
gonna say,
But under
Darren,
the Constitution, it is the Congress to work with the president and the court to solve what we decided.
So
That's how
working
it
with the
works. It's the
president, ripping up
Congress, the Supreme Court, and the president.
That's
after
working with
mean,
the
this
president, ripping up
information,
his
I'm gonna
speech.
send you to the new
She
platform
destroyed.
that Trump,
She, Nancy Pelosi should be sued, and I said this later, for
She should be
destroying
sued.
public property.
She
That's
should
what
be
she
tried.
did.
She
Same
She
thing with
destroyed
Maxine
public
Waters.
property.
Same thing Maxine Waters, same thing AOC, same thing with.
Everyone treasonous, they should be tried and sent
Oh,
away.
yeah, that's the misdemeanor portion of high crimes and misdemeanors, because that was public property. Everybody laughed at me. I said, wait a second. That document is to be archived. It's the original draft of the president. Anything original that any president does, it is the people's
You did
property
say
to be
that.
archived. They didn't do it. She ripped it, and everybody said, well, they can make another. No, they can't. That's the original
That's the
draft.
idea. That's the
And
idea.
she destroyed it.
In front of the world, in front of the whole world.
Yes, she disrespected the institution of
I used
president.
to like Pence. I have no use for him anymore since
Oh,
that.
yeah. We got to throw this. Unfortunately, I covered him here. I covered him back here on the picture. I put the police officer next to Trump that died, the highway patrol officer who died, to cover Trump, because I can cut it off because Pence became a traitor of the nation. That's what he did. He became a traitor.
The courts that are supposed to convict people like that of treason are also corrupt. The
Right.
whole
Yep.
system is corrupt.
Yeah, no doubt.
Top to bottom.
I'm trying to
Well,
say, so how
that-
you going to beat them? How you going to beat them till you get them out of there?
Well, the one
Yeah,
plan
but
is to
it's
get
gonna do something.
the one plan is to stop the disenfranchisement of the disabled so that the voice is stronger. You see, that's why everybody's avoiding it, because they know that we're here. You think I'm the first guy that thought
But
of this?
Darren, Trump probably won by 30 million votes above the other guy.
No problem. I
They
know.
weren't counted. So what good is it if the veterans vote and going to
Exactly.
change the vote?
That's
Because
why I was
if they
talking about
change
the
it-
blockchain.
Because we
Because
got to
it's-
preserve the integrity of the vote. We have
The
to
dimension-
I agree.
integrity.
100%.
You got to solve 2020 first, because if you don't, they're gonna do it again in
That's my
2020.
point. That's why I'm in court with that.
They did it with the Senate race. They did it with the Senate race. They knew they needed those
They
two
do
seats.
it. They did. Of course.
I was
What do you
That's
think?
how we split too.
You got
So I
judges
think
that
there's
didn't want to
something-
address my claim. I got 3 judges that tried to dismantle the claim. Federal judges.
Corrupt. The courts are corrupt too, right? I just got through
Of
saying
course
that.
they are.
Dominion, the
You're breaking
Dominion voting, the Dominion voting machines are corrupt. That's why I was talking about blockchain. Blockchain is the technology that they use for cryptocurrencies, and they make each purchase is encrypted in such a way that it can't be hacked, it can't be stolen,
Right.
and it's the same technology that you could apply to voting. And almost everybody's online these days. Almost everybody is. And
TV commercials are good for Florida.
could-
Florida, a lot of people watch
you could-
TV.
you could cover so many with disabilities with a blockchain if they could vote on their phones and they could verify
Well, that's
themselves.
right. If they get their phone, it has to be accessible.
They
Remember,
also
this
have to
formatting,
verify.
accessibility,
Keyword
software is
verified.
important. Technology, the
I didn't
disabled
hear
need technology because of that blind situation. There were so many millions of blind. Let me tell you, if 10 million people were blind, didn't get to vote because of technology and the willful assholes in government that did not listen. The ADA was 1990. We are in 2021. How long is it
No.
going to take them to think about braille ballots? how long does it take to think about Braille ballots? Do you see what I'm
But
saying?
not, I mean, there
You're
there
breaking
was
up.
I don't know why I'm breaking up. It's
Because
right
you're breaking
here.
it down, and then you're going, it goes, I bet, yeah, bet, yeah, bet. Talking to the mic, Madam Chief.
It's a young man that I sent a video of who was using his phone. He was blind. He was born blind,
Right.
and he was a singer. He was a singer, and he was talking about, like at a TED Talk sort of a setting, how he uses his phone to do everything. You know, with the technology that they have,
Oh,
they
that was
can.
that disabled kid that made it all around, and he
Yes,
grew into it.
it's
Yes,
amazing, all the stuff that he was
I know.
doing with his phone. And so, you know, okay, Braille ballots, but then you've got to put them
But
in the
it was
hands
the-
of people who can see, or
It
mail
was the software that he was talking about in his phone.
software would take care of that as well for the blind, also for the blind.
But right, but it's got to be the software. You got to use the word. The software has to be readily achievable to provide the necessary for different. There are not just the blind.
Let's talk about that.
I
That's
know.
not for me to solve. Is to say this is a solution to the corrupt Dominion
No, this
BS.
is one solution to provide access, because we have to address the
For
disenfranchisement.
everybody, because everybody's vote is at risk in the elections, not just the yes, we need to bring more disabled votes in.
But I'm an
Yes,
advocate for disabled, not the able.
we are all here because of that. For you, all of us are, right? John, are you here to support Darren in his advocacy for the disabled? Is that one of the reasons why you're here?
Of course, of course.
And Joe, you
Yeah.
are too. So I am.
And how about
So-
you, Madam Chief?
So we're here. You don't have to keep, selling it. You're preaching to the choir.
No, but we're preaching to the viewers here. The viewers need to understand.
Yes.
It's the viewers that need to know that their disabled son or daughter was disenfranchised by the practices of those local politicians.
And they know
That's what we're done. Well, no, they don't. They sometimes, here's what you don't understand, Shan, is some people think the absentee ballot is an accommodation because they think they get to help the disabled vote. See, that's what they think. They think, oh, an absentee ballot, that's an accommodation. It is not. And that's what we want to make clear. That's why those ballots present fraud.
The whole system that we have for voting is bad. Even the ballot system is bad, and so just creating the mail system. Like, if you can do it in the comfort of your home, you don't have to ask anybody. You already know how to use your phone to help accommodate you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the phones, personal phones, which also would eliminate a practice, but it would eliminate an over expenditure, because then they would only have to have it for disabled that are ready to come in, a blind person that comes in. So
we're already changing our currency. We're going to change our banking system. We're already on the road there, and the voting and election system is dragging far behind because nobody wants to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it because it would be very effective. It would work.
But here's the problem with that. Here's the problem. Here's the one problem we face. And John reminded me of this. John, what happens if our electric goes? Right? The thing with the billion that we could have saved the money. The thing, the thing.
The EMP, yeah. The electromagnetic pulse.
Right. And we get that problem. It doesn't matter your phone. It doesn't matter, because no electric, you're done. No vote. That's their next attack.
Oh, yeah.
The what do they call that thing? Like the big circuit board?
That happens, then all of us are screwed anyway. I mean, the whole country is going to be screwed in so many ways that we're going to be just fighting for in the streets.
Yeah, but Shannon.
And sorry, Joe, I can't hear. I didn't hear what you said.
You go back to the old cranking of stuff, the wood burning stuff, and going out and hunting and all that.
It's going to be worse.
That's the old thing. Eating blood sausage.
Shannon.
Yeah, there you go.
Shannon. Hey, Shannon. it would only cost $2 billion. $2 billion to keep us safe from from an attack on the EMP. Okay, $2 billion.
That's it.
Trump was starting to do it. This bum doesn't even know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
He knows. He knows. He just
but he
don't
doesn't.
want to fix it.
He doesn't have the mentality.
Know what to
Let's
do.
make it being Biden's not running the country. Obama is.
Oh, absolutely.
Obama knows. No, that this was Obama's third term. We know that. Fucking Obama's a communist.
This guy that brought this country down. He divided us, and it gets worse and worse every day. You know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're letting the border run rampant. Listen, it's a wonderful thing to bring. I'm all for people becoming legal citizens, all for them becoming legal citizens. Flooding our borders, coming in with drugs and all these problems, making problematic and bringing disease creates another problem. So why are they letting them do that? So when you get sick and you can't vote or you can't say something, it's better to have, this is why. It's better to have you sick and silent. The mask was a test. The mask was a test. I repeat, the mask was the test to see how the gag would work. You understand? Not
and they're following it up with all kinds of other stuff. Deviant, that Delta virus, that Delta thing, that's another phase in it. And the other one, that's why it jumped on us a little bit when he started with
Just look at our guest. Look at our guest. What was he doing? Our guest, who happens to be a Republican, who happens to be a dad and a good guy. Okay. What was he? Right? The fear is still present in New York. You see, we've allowed them to generate a fear pattern. Okay? Listen, we're all adults. We don't go if we're sick someplace, and neither will we enter a place that is sick.
Wash our hands. We learned how to do it when we were children.
We learned that. We were taught that. I was taught that young, how to wash my hands by my grandpa. How to do it good. How to wash my face and how to clean my hands.
Commercials saying, be sure to wash your hands after you go to the bathroom. It's like, I don't know how to do that. Thank you so much.
Right?
Government is so wonderful for teaching us how to wipe our butts again. Thank you, wonderful government and Biden.
Terrible.
All right. Thank you for that visual. Thank you for that visual, Chief, Madam Chief. Thank you.
Right there, Biden. Take a bite.
Thank you, Shannon, Madam Chief.
Sorry, I had to get that out of my system. I'm really fed up.
Okay, well, see, that's why the chief gives you the forum. You think? See, the chief gives certain freedoms. We didn't expect that one. Thank you for sharing.
I'm so fed up. Like, get your sanitizer. Stand in this line right here. Don't you dare go in. Only 5 at a time.
Well, I know you're upset, my dear. Madam Chief.
Our adults. The point is, we are adults. We're not children in kindergarten standing in line to go get a drink of water with a teacher telling us what to do. But that's how they're treating us right now.
Well, yes, that's exactly how they're treating us, and that's going to stop. And
they're getting away with it. It's still going on.
We have to. Well, listen, these cases are going to start to unfold. What they thought was, at least if they get him in, it would solve the problem. The problem I have with it is one and one only: winning fairly. And the way that they demonstrated, which adds to insult, even with Dominion, is millions of disabled, and you got to look at it from our perspective as advocates. You understand? I had a 501c3 that has been perfect in its fight and mission to secure the civil liberties of disabled. My argument as both citizen and person qualified, certain limitations, that the software is intentionally corrupt. It is intentionally structured to do what they want it to do instead of what the voice of us wants it to do. It doesn't matter to me if it's Republican or Democrat, because everybody has a right. That's the point. But when you limit or you invade our software and the people we elect to protect these things, they got to go. They got to go because it's infringing on all of
They're
us.
not going. That's the problem.
Well, that's why they keep it. Because that's why they keep it. That's how they keep it. But that's how they keep their jobs.
That's why you got to push term limitations.
Exactly.
Well, that was one of
That's
my.
the only way to get them out.
On my
8
platform.
years.
I agree.
Out.
Term limits are essential to the growth of the country for the refreshing and renewing that was designed in our Constitution. I was the only candidate that said it, but look at John. We all know I lost the voter fraud. 30,000 ballots were in the trash.
Right.
Because the corrupt Republicans here said, let's put Byron in. Now, Byron's good, but here's the worst corrupt part. I would have had one candidate up against who was in for 17 years. They didn't let me run in that district in 25. Congressman is put in by the state could elect a congressman. How do they do that? That takes away the sovereign right of the people within that state. They can't do that. And that's why 3 judges interfered and said, no, he has to write this. No, he has. They weren't even in my district. They got nothing to say. And in some laws, they say they got sovereign immunity. Bullshit. Judges don't have sovereign immunity when they're corrupt. There's no sovereign immunity for a
Got
judge.
several judges down here that actually is going down because.
Oh, there's a federal judge over there, Judge, what was her name? Callahan or something. She said, well, tell him she told the magistrate how to handle my case outside the district of jurisdiction. You can't do that. So the chief judge took over and said, okay, that's it. Aquino asked 5 times. You're going to accommodate him in the first instance, how judges talk, in the science of law, and which tries to match up to the science of my rights. Here's the science. The Constitution of the United States of America, not the corporation. The Constitution of these United States. Right to be uninterfered with, my right of due process. Though disabled, I'm not dumb, I'm not blind, and I'm not deaf. Articulating on paper is challenging from the separation. For the first time, I'm going to tell what happens with my dyslexia. The 2 sides of my brain, because you have 2 sides, right? They kind of argue with each other because each of them have one function, but they also have independent functions, which made me develop photographic memory. What happens when it comes to putting the thoughts from both sides together, they're both speaking at the same time. They don't have the independent operation like with my nerve. Instead of it like saying do something one, I'll do 2 hands with it. Yeah, instead of going 1. You understand? My brain collectively goes like this. So when you go to put out a letter one at a time, I can't do that. I don't hear vowel sounds. Words sound to me as they sound, not as they're written. So then when I go to do it, my mind is working so fast that it's getting past to write it collectively, and I can't do that. So, but I could speak it clearly. You've all heard me, but when it comes to doing it their way, I can't. The law says they have to modify it so that I can do it, readily achievable to the response that I'm challenged with. And that's what they hesitated with. But the chief judge said, all right, enough, magistrate. Your recommendation is out, and you will do this. And you will accommodate him for the first instance. And then when he gets past that amended complaint, now he's making me do another one. Okay, he's making me do another one because we accomplished the first one. That wasn't good enough for him. But now he gives a specific instruction because if he does
We already
it.
did that, right? Didn't you already submit
Yeah,
that?
we did that. But now he sent another one. We got to do it again.
Since then,
Again.
a
And he
third
says
one?
if you need more time because he's afraid of the chief judge, because he said, now once you get to that point, now the judge said, Title II. Now we're going to see what else he needs, and you're going to provide it. And that's that. Because I pointed out a judge who sits in the circuit
maybe
who is
they're
very
just giving
honorable,
you
and
a
she did
polite
do it.
runaround.
Say again?
It's maybe they're giving you a polite runaround.
They are. That's what they do to try and stall for time.
How it is.
Because they want to set it for the new election. No, he's not getting another election. He needs to be terminated. He took the office without the vote of the people. It's a corrupt act by a seated congressman whose term expired on January 3rd, and he had no election to usher him back in. They silenced the people. The state is guilty, and they wouldn't let me run there, so they deprived me.
But what were we talking about with Joe was talking about what were you talking about, Joe? With the judges.
Oh, is it a lot of judges?
Corrupt judges.
That case
And
is ongoing, but I really can't get into it too much, other than one of the reasons why I left for one person is because I refuse to, Darren knows, to circumvent or conspire to defraud the justice systems using a condition that his main doctor says
Using a medical doctor to help him conspire to elude justice. That's no good. Can't do that.
and he's
We
trying
won't.
to do that with a foot doctor that has no credibility for a physical thing.
well, they're getting away with stuff
I
like
know.
that.
We want to get away from what their titles are, medical professionals. What we know is this: the law is the law. Nobody's above it. What we
Right.
hope for as a people is equal protection under the law. Anybody who evinces a design, variously coming against the very same object, justice, must be held accountable. Here at Code Wind Talk, we don't break the rules, we uphold the rules. We demonstrate for all of America to see the stories of the different and many Americans that come on and will come on as we go through this platform, as we get ready to sign off, because I just checked the clock and this is going to be edited. But we want to talk about John's book. We want to talk about The Last Goodbye at lastgoodbye-book.com. Got it. The cricket got it. I've been practicing, and I don't see the book. Where's the book? The book.
Well,
The Last Goodbye.
we went over this.
There you go.
There we go. There she goes. Thank you, Madam Secretary. You're a wonderful person, a human being.
Secretary.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. You're such a wonderful human being. I love you. You're amazing. Thank you for all that you do for me and the organization and the patience you have with me. But
Speaking of patience, may I also add one thing?
Yes,
One
you may,
suggestion about our platform, if we're going to a Newsmax kind of a style,
yes.
it would be very helpful to have a moderator, someone who can.
Oh gosh, I think that you would be good for that.
Because we need
But you are a
someone
major
who,
contributor, so
we need someone who is willing to do like a timer, like, okay, you get 1 minute, you get 2 minutes to talk, and then we go to the next person, and
oh, you
that
mean
person.
all the other folks outside of me?
No,
We know that you have a lot to contribute, Darren, but when we're inviting a guest to speak, then we should
Well, yeah.
allow him to speak for, so that we can do what he came here for.
Well, these are one of the things that we wanted to do, but now we have the team without any interference from Code Media and Carl Van Neves. Now we're heading in that. I spoke about these things, having the equal time for everybody. Of course, you
have 10 more seconds. And then
okay, that applies. except for the master host. It's like Master Chief on a boat. Except for the master host, I get exceptional time. You know what? Oh no, I get extra time. Do you know why? Because I'm dyslexic. I get extra time. Are you challenging my right, Chief? Are you challenging my right?
Your turn.
I get extra time.
Joe, you get 2 minutes now.
Yeah, point to
challenging the chief. Woo! Well, no, I don't.
Oh,
Darren knows the point of order means.
Darren knows what? See, I have a disability. I can't hear very well.
Okay, so then you won't miss this point. Be quiet. I'm kidding.
www.zipit.com.
Yeah. Frank for the 88812. Call me there if you have any questions.
Speak loudly into your microphone so I can hear you.
Hold on. Oh, you hear me now?
Your name is not Joe.
No, it's Chief. It's Chief.
Very good.
Anyway,
now has relinquished his time, and now we will go to John. John, please add what your thoughts are about the discussion today and where we might want to go in the future, in the next meeting, in the next discussion on Code Wind Talk.
Well,
thanks for telling us who we are.
Well, yeah, I mean, we started getting heated at the end to get into the politics part of it, and I go crazy.
Of course.
I don't like seeing my country get washed right on from under my feet. I just
John,
don't like, and I'm angry, very angry.
I agree. I concur with you because you
No,
put your
no.
life on the line.
Turn to talk. I'm listening to John.
And
I only get so many words, and I come to a dead end. That's it. Unless
It was interesting, your discussion about Trump and how you didn't watch any news and you weren't that so obviously you weren't interested in politics.
No.
You didn't have much hope. Neither do many of us. And yet, what was it about Trump? Like, at first I thought Trump was just, I was like, Trump. My husband said, oh yeah, you ought to listen to Trump. I'm like, Trump, I thought you didn't like Trump. You're always giving him a hard time about owning all the housing units and taking advantage of the poor and things like that. And he's like, no, I might have been wrong and blah, 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 but you should just listen to him. Just, before you make up your mind, just go to online to one of his speeches. This was when he was beginning to campaign. I think it was in South Carolina. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And he said, listen to the whole thing. Don't listen to one that's been edited out by and so I did. And by the time I was done, I was sold. I was like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? He's talking our language. Right. And that was it. It was over with. I was like on board with Trump, and everybody who is against Trump, I feel like they've never really given him a chance, or they're communists.
Right.
And and
up, madam.
I finished it in that amount of time, probably in about 25 seconds.
Yeah, you wish. You wish. No, but yeah, okay.
Darren, I got to tell all of you. Next Thursday, I'll be the sub host for my guest's radio show. I'll be running the show.
Okay.
This called Wind Talk youth group.
Right.
Invited to be as part of the group that's on the show. I would you like to spend about 45 minutes discussing everything like we do here on the radio show.
Okay, so we can do that.
Better give him an hour and a half.
Can't, it's only an hour show.
Okay. You realize the assistant to the chief is online? That sounds like a mutiny in the works. That's what that sounds like. Oh, bad.
I'll give you the link and the numbers.
The truth is hard to take.
Huh? I know you can't handle the truth.
Well,
that's why he made them male and female.
That's part of the podcast. The truth is out there for people.
Yes, we will do that. So let me bring this show to an end because we have to silence the assistant chief. And the only way to do that is pull the plug. I love you. I love you dearly. You're so important to me and what we do for the disabled. But one of the things.
Sincere.
Huh? We're on TV. They think you're sincere. I'm kidding. Stop it. You know better. We talk every day. Stop it. So talking about the Last Goodbye, lastgoodbye-book.com is about the story of two veterans, mainly. It surrounds the life of two veterans, John and his cousin Anthony, and the tragic death in his defense for this country, defending this country. And John almost dying too from being severely injured. And as a 19-year-old boy, I want to stress the age of 19, teenagers fighting the battles and the enemies against America. And tragically, he lost his cousin. What did they give you for that? Purple Heart? death. I mean, what can they give you in replacement of one's life? There's nothing. A flag in a box. Here you go, on behalf of a grateful nation. That doesn't show much gratitude to me. I think as the country moves forward, and I think there are different compensations that we should consider in the fight for our freedoms and liberties. I think that Code Wind Talk represents the true voice of the people, because the people get to come and speak themselves. Here at Code Wind Talk, we lift up your voice and give you the opportunity to talk. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat. Don't be misled by our kibitzing and joking. That's just who we are here. But for your voice and your opinion, we give you that right. As long as you're not hostile or threaten anybody on these airwaves, that's not what it's for. But if you've been stricken by grief or something, or some attack by your local government, like my assistant chief, but Kentucky's chief of the state for people with disabilities, and you have that kind of grievance, and you've been attacked constitutionally, infringed upon, then we're ready to hear your story and let you tell it. We will help you if you're disabled. And to all you veterans out there, every day we're grateful for your service, no matter where you are, far and near. When you put on that uniform, you put a target on yourself, and you've been either subject to ridicule or imminent harm. Either way, we know, and to law enforcement, we appreciate and love our law enforcement around the nation. And to those of you who misuse that badge, we're coming for you, and we will get you. You don't belong to wear that badge, because many courageous men and women who put it on every day to keep their communities safe get a bad rap for a corrupt or dirty cop. We won't accept that, and we don't blame everybody for one man or one woman's mistake. You must be held accountable for your own actions. As we come together as a nation here, as we talk about it here at Code Wind Talk, we're thankful to all of you. I'm thankful to my supporters, my co-host, and my dear assistant chief for everything she helps. Well, you don't see behind the scenes. And I'm going to say, because I'm not ashamed to say that I'm limited, but she helps me with my limits, and she notes where it's important, and that you get the valuable information that we share. That we sit here, it's important. Thank you, Madam Chief. Thank you, Shannon Greer. It's so much easier with your help. You make it easy for me being there and taking those notes.
I appreciate the kudos. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you deserve it. See, that's how I hit back. That's how I get you with kindness, even though you assaulted me on national television. But in all seriousness,
Just spicing it up a little bit.
Yes, I know. You're very spicy. As we go forward, we are working on the project for the last goodbye, and we're working, and we're going to have Dave Galtenbeck back, who's joined this team, and we want to thank Dougie. We want to thank Sean. Ruben's going to come in, Dope is going to come in, and Paulie Prince, because we going to have, that's our production team from the technical side. And then we have Joe DeCop, who gives you legal policing.
John.
Yes, there she goes, my flag waver. And then we have Joe DeCop, who gives you a former NYPD. And then we're going to have other contributors on this show. But we will never get away from the original platform, because, it's about law. It's about rights. We will add a lawyer who will sit with us, and let's see how Sharon is and joins up, if she's either going to be
Sherry.
Well, Sherry's like a nickname for Sharon. So it's like Sherry Baby. So as we come to expand on the platform, to have the people in place to answer the questions of you, the public, or you, the guest to this, we want you to know that we're all here. Your rights are sovereign under the Constitution of the United States, not the corporation, the U.S. corporation, but the United States Constitution is under attack. We've heard from our today, we would have had some others on here, but here's where we are. And tomorrow we're going forward. We've been in touch with the Capitol. We will probably host some of the Capitol Police. I'm hoping to go over the details and the service the Capitol Police provide, why the fence is still up, and what is the handling of citizens entering the people's house. Is it the people's house or the president's house? And why is it under security? Why are we being kept from the Capitol, and what is their excuse? And our Constitution doesn't allow for these things that are going on. And we have to address them. We have to be concerned. This is our country and not the electeds. The electeds have a duty to serve us. It's not the other way around. So that's what we do here at Code Win Talk. So until next time, at another Code Win Talk, thank you. And let's go to, don't forget, the lastgoodbye-book.com. Go to www.adaadvocates.com and Aquino for Congress at Twitter if you want.
Thank you, Darren, and thank you, Sean, also, because
Yes,
Sean's.
and to our executive producers and all of us here, okay, all of the TIP are, I'm the first executive producer from every area that we speak. We are the producers. When you understand what that is, we're all here in our own right. I am the creator and host and star of the show because I'm not really a star, but that's how the terminology is. But I'm just the guy to put a bunch of people together to tell it real, to tell it true, and to bring it to you so that you'd know the truth. Because that's what our Constitution wants us to do to save this republic. Until next time, here at Code Win Talk, we'll see you next time. God bless you, God bless the United States, and God always bless our men and women in uniform who protect the country and the cities and the states. Thank you, and God bless. We'll see you next time at Code Win Talk.
God bless everyone.
God bless
God bless.
everyone. And
Okay.
check us out at
Son, are we out?
the People Podcast. Have a great day.
Son, are we out?
Take care, Joe.
Okay, are we out? Did you get my text, Shannon?
Me? Oh,
No,
Yeah.
Shannon, you got it?
I'm going to sign off. Okay.
Okay, sign off.
Signing off.
I'm sorry.
Shannon.
Yeah, yes.
Text me your phone. I don't have your phone or information. Joe, you too, if you can. I don't have your information.
I sent it to everybody. You didn't get it? In the text, you're in the group text. Our number's there with the name. Just click on the name.
I'll look at it again. Joe,
In the
too?
group text, when we made the group text against Call, when the mutiny came, when the uprising came.
What?
Yeah, you're in the group with Sean. In the group. You're in that group. She's in the group. Joe's in the group.
With the phone numbers?
Yeah, of course. Well, their tag gives you and links you to them because they're in it.
How do you know whose is whose?
Because your names are on them.
The names aren't matched up with the phone numbers, though.
Oh, really? What kind of
Yeah.
phone do you have? Is that an Android? Maybe Androids don't do that, but iPhones line them up. Usually on my phone, John's name is next to his number. Did you know that? Did you
Well,
know
you
the
don't
magic?
have if you don't have somebody in your contacts, then it doesn't say the name with the phone number.
Well, but on mine in the text, it will say, it says who.
Got all of us in your contacts.
In the argument I sent out when I said you. Yeah, of course I do.
I'll
Of course
look
I
at
do.
it. All right.
If it's not, I'll just send it back. I'll just tell you, because if you have the name and you store the name and it didn't, I'll just give you the number to the name.
All right.
Mine starts with 319.
319. All right. Why don't you just look? Save me the aggravation.
319 795
All right. Go ahead.
Okay.
795
5552.
5552. Got it. Okay, Shannon.
All right.
You have mine because you have my card, right?
What's that?
You have mine because you have my card in the book.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I was going to call through, so that cuts me off when someone's calling me. So,
Okay.
all right. Nice to see you again, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Take
Have a
care.
good-
God bless you. Take care.
to
Be
talk.
safe.
God bless
Right.
you too. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Love you too.
Love you.
Bye. All right, and I don't know how to get off of this.